This is Hardly Minding My Business, and I am your host, Dashing D. If you've never been here before, welcome. If you have, welcome back. If you don't know what we do here, we talk shit, basically. That's essentially what happens here, okay? We try to mind our business, but, hardly, right? Like, there's a lot going on. Not with us. Well, sometimes with us. But there's a lot going on, and there's a lot to talk about. So that's what this space is for. Let's talk about it. So let's start off with me. What's going on? I don't know. I don't really have too much. I don't really have anything particularly interesting to report. Other than the fact that I was having a conversation recently, and I was thinking about this as I was preparing for the podcast. I was having a conversation recently about how much work it takes to create, no matter what it is you're creating in this arena. Obviously, it's content, it's a podcast, but there's so many different things that people do, and I think that what's really interesting to me is that the people who don't create assume that it takes very little for you to do the things that you do. This podcast, albeit it is not always on time, it is not on time at all. But it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot for me to produce an episode. I don't have a big team around me. I'm not someone, and I know that my fellow podcasters who don't have huge deals with Spotify and iHeart and other companies like that, or people who don't have the celebrity or the fame or the followers, right? Even those people spend a lot of time doing things, but the difference between them and someone like me is that they probably have 10 people to help them along the way. Whereas with this podcast, with Hardly Minding My Business specifically, I am the only person who does anything for this podcast, right? So I am the one who does the pre-production on the podcast. I am the one who has to make sure that the camera and the lighting and the microphone and this and this and this and that is prepared so that I can sit here. I got to make sure that my couch is situated the way it needs to be, that there is nothing obstructing the view. And I do all of that by myself, which is actually extremely and incredibly frustrating to do by yourself. It's so much easier when I do let's have a real conversation. At least one of us can sit in the space and another one of us can look and make sure that the angles are right, that we're capturing the frame properly. Like, when you're doing things on your own, or you're doing anything that requires you to create, it takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of time. And this is not my petty or nah, but I've just been thinking about how frustrating it is to have people downplay that and make it seem like the work that you do is unimportant or small. Obviously, it doesn't stop me from doing what I'm doing, and I think that those people are kind of ridiculous, but they would never know because they haven't actually put in the work or put in the effort to do something like this, right? Because I said all of that stuff that I do, but I did not mention the fact that after I'm done with the podcast, I now have to watch myself and listen to myself and edit myself and then make it and then prepare it for media consumption. So listen, I say all this to say a lot goes into building out a podcast, to ideating a podcast, creating it, to making sure it is the product that you want it to be. And it's not just with podcasting. I know influencers deal with that. I know we don't use the word influencer as much, but content creators, right? Digital creators, people who actually have to create content in order for them to make money. it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot to do these things. I feel like I talk about TikTok all the time, and honestly, even TikTok takes time. I be sitting there with my little editing program, like, you know, trying to like make the videos right. The videos got to be so many seconds long at least. And then making it interesting enough that enough people will want to see it. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And that, I just want to be clear, that is not a complaint. That is simply a you don't fucking understand. So it's just something I've been thinking about because I've heard people say things, and I've seen people say things that are like, if you don't understand it, then don't speak on it. That's it. Like, I'm not trying to do what you do over there. Don't speak on what I'm trying to do over here, you know? And if this is for you, if you like this podcast and you want to continue coming back here, please do. I appreciate you. And I'm going to continue creating because that's what I love to do. But if it's not for you, if you feel like I just throw this shit together every week and or every other week or whenever you get it, if you feel like it's just thrown together and I don't take my time on it and I don't put effort and hours into it, then you can go. That's fine too. I'm just saying. My co-host on LHRC told me that I need to be nicer to the audience. He told me that a long time ago. But I'm serious. I love the fact that there are people who engage with this podcast and people who like this podcast, and I really enjoy that. That's what I want. That's why I'm here. Not just to hear myself speak. But what I'm not gonna do is I'm not going to allow anyone to diminish what I can do and what I do. I've been podcasting since 2018. It's almost 5 years this year since I started podcasting, and I'm pretty damn proud of myself for continuing to do this, for allowing this to have the longevity that it has had. And yeah, it might not be a top 10 podcast on Spotify, but people watch it, people enjoy it. Anytime I hear somebody say that they heard something on my podcast, or they saw something here, or they just had a good laugh with me about something that I said, I'm warmed by that. So it doesn't matter how many. I'm not looking at that. I don't care about that. I just appreciate that, you know, there are people who appreciate this. So yeah, just a thought, like that's just a thought in my head that I had, and something I'd been thinking about a lot over the past couple of weeks. But yeah, in terms of everything else, I mean, you know, life is lifing. Life does what it does. Oh, I've been going into the office. Okay, so I think I mentioned before that sometimes I go into the office just because I feel like I'm not focusing at home. And I would only do that at the very end of the week because nobody goes into the office at the end of the week. They got your girl again. They were like, yeah, so we noticed you guys haven't been coming in to the office, and we really think that you should come in once a week. Okay. So the last couple of weeks I went in twice last week because the second day was on my own. But I went in. It's really interesting to go into the office these days. There's still not a lot of people around, especially when you allow people to come in one day a week and like rotate around however they want to. It's never going to be a whole lot of people at one time, or it's probably going to be a whole lot of people at one time, if you understand what I mean. But it's been interesting. I don't have any complaints about it. I live so close to where I work that it's not that big of a deal. But now I'm like, I feel like I need to be in a different mindset. I feel like I had to put myself in a work from the office mindset again. I also really had to think about like what to wear. I'm so used to throwing on like a little bralette and some sweatpants or some joggers or something, and then when I have a meeting, throwing on a cardigan or whatever and calling it, or a sweatshirt and calling it a day. And I can still kind of do some of that, not the bralette obviously, but I can still kind of do some of that in the office. It's just like, okay, I really have to be intentional now. I find myself actually being way more organized than I used to be when I was not when like pre-work from home. I'm setting my clothes, I'm ironing my clothes at night, I'm doing all kinds of things to help myself, because I also don't want to wake up incredibly early. I'm used to not having to wake up until 8 something. So, and that's not to say I do that all the time. I wake up consistently, usually 6:37 in the morning, but I have time. Like if I want to go back to sleep, I can go back to sleep for a little longer. Or if I just, want to be up and about and do whatever, I can do that. A lot of times I'll try. Lately, the last month or two, I would say my workouts have been very spotty. But redemption, I have been getting back on the wagon. I'm running outside more, which is good. So yeah, but I like to do that before work. I like to work out before work. It just makes it so much easier. You get it out of the way and you don't have to think about it for the rest of the day. But working in the office makes that a little challenging. I did start documenting my outfits, both at home and in the office. I'm still trying to decide if I want to share that content, just because I'm like, I haven't done the look at what I'm wearing thing in a really long time. The OOTDs, if you will, or these days now it's the fit check. I haven't done that in so long, and I haven't posted that to socials in so long that I'm like, does it even fit anymore? But we'll see, because I've been documenting everything I've been wearing lately, so I have the videos. Let me know if y'all want to see that. If y'all want to see that on one of my TikTok accounts, because there's the main one that I think y'all know about, and then there's the secret one that's like, it's not a secret, it's open, but it's my foodie TikTok. But if y'all want to see that, let me know, and maybe I'll share that soon. So put it in the comments if you're interested in that. Anyway, we got to get started, right? So let's petty or not is going to be more, I'm going to try to pose this as a question, so it's not nearly as petty as it could be. Now I'm gonna just say it. Now, I don't have long nails. I haven't had long nails for a while, and even when my nails were long, which they were for many years until the world shut down. Even when my nails were long, they were like what I would consider reasonably long. They weren't like, I don't know how many inches that is, but they were just, they were something that, I could still wipe my ass with my nails. Now, I don't have any judgment about the length of people's nails. I don't care about that. Get your nails done. Go do all the things. Do your full set or whatever it's called. Do your acrylics if y'all still do that. Gel X, whatever it is. I don't know. There's all kinds of things. Get all your designs. Get your stiletto nails. Get your coffin nails. Whatever you want to do it. I love that. I love to see that. I think that's very cool. I like it when my nails are long and I can do cool, fun things with them. But here's what I'm gonna say. Some of y'all like to cook, and some of y'all have these really long nails, and y'all want to get on the internet and show people how to make things, and y'all be in the bowl, digging in the bowl with them nails, and I cringe every time. And the reason I cringe is because how and why? You know how much bacteria lives under those damn nails. Oh my gosh. Use some gloves or use something, please. I don't get it. I'm watching something the other day and this girl's nail was out to here and she's just digging in the bowl. And I'm like, you're going to catch the flu or something. I don't know. Some viral infection very soon. Very, very soon. Do you know what lives underneath your nails? I don't know. It just stressed me out. And I was like, ooh, just to like throw on some gloves just for the time being. And then you could be cute with your hot girl nails. That's it. I don't understand. I don't think that's too much to ask for, or at least don't show it to me. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Those are the ones that, like, if I'm on TikTok and I see that, I will put that as something I'm not interested in. So I never have to see that person digging in a bowl again. You over there mixing up your meat and you're just adding more bacteria to your nails. mixing up the meat with your girl. I don't know. It just something I was thinking about. I was watching a cooking video the other day and I was very excited about it. I really wanted to know how to make this thing. And I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, the girls are really doing this. And I don't understand why. So I had to call it out. All right, so let's get into it. I don't even know where to start this week. Tory Lanez was sentenced. As you'll recall, as I'm sure everyone knows, Tory Lanez was on trial for the shooting of Megan Thee Stallion back in 2020. They were at a party or apparently they went to a party together with Megan's friend and his bodyguard or his body. I can't remember. It was so long ago. And on the way from the party, there was some sort of altercation, and according to Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez shot her in the foot. All this has now been litigated. That's why I'm not saying allegedly. This has now been litigated, and he has been found guilty, which we already discussed. And this week he was sentenced. He was sentenced to 10 years. I believe they asked for state prison rather than federal prison, because there is some leniency there in terms of having to serve the full sentence. They also, I think there's some conversation about being on house arrest. So I don't know how that will work. Or I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the details were, so don't quote me on that. But it looks like a lawyer was on Higher Learning this week and addressed some of the nuance and the legalities of his sentencing. And basically what it seems like is, if he is in jail and he is doing what he's supposed to do to rehabilitate himself, he likely won't serve a 10-year sentence. He likely will serve more like 7 to 8 years. And I think whatever time he has served already will be factored into the time that he was sentenced. So all of that being said, I don't know what to say. Like, justice is served. I mean, if you did that shit, then you got to pay the consequences for doing that shit. So apparently a lot of people wrote letters. A lot of the public wasn't happy with the people who wrote letters. Evidently Mario wrote a letter, Iggy Azalea wrote a letter, and they ripped Iggy Azalea a new asshole. And honestly, never mind. No pun intended on that, honestly, never mind. But yeah, people had things to say. What I will say, what I said to someone this week was, because it was like, oh, you know, Iggy Azalea, yada, yada, yada. All these people wrote letters. I think they said it was a total of 70 letters that were written about Tory's character to try to give him some leniency. Tory fucked up. And here's where Tory fucked up. I mean, the whole thing is where he fucked up. But where he really fucked up is that after it happened, he then behaved like he was so innocent, and like he had no regard for the legal system. He had no regard for the fact that, you know, he was being told not to say anything. He was being told not to antagonize Megan, all of that. And he did it anyway. And that's what gets me, and that's what bothers me about this whole thing is people do shit they shouldn't do. And people make mistakes. I don't know how you shoot a woman randomly and that be the mistake. It's fucked up, but people do shit they shouldn't have done, right? But the thing is how you handle it after you've done what you did. No, nigga, you were going to jail because you can't just shoot people and move on with your life. But you could have at least shown some remorse. You could have at the very least, if you didn't want to admit what you had done, or if you didn't want to, if you felt like, oh, due to legal reasons, I'm not really going to say anything to her or about the situation, you could have just done that. But you did a whole lot more than that. And now it's like, I don't really know what to say or do. I'm sorry to that child that will not have a father around for however many years. But this whole thing has been bizarre from the beginning. I'm glad that at this point it's over and we don't really have to deal with it for a while. I'm sure it'll come up again. They're saying that they're expecting his team to appeal the sentence. So we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to call it out because it happened and it's obviously something we've discussed before. So there's that. You know what? I totally forgot to mention that last week the episode was super short. I think the episode ended up being maybe 28 to 30 minutes. That was not because I didn't record a full episode. I recorded an entire episode that was almost or just about an hour long, and I don't know what happened. The recording stopped recording after 30 minutes, and there were a few more topics that you didn't see, and I didn't see either when I tried to edit. It just wasn't there. It just disappeared. So I am going to talk about one of those topics. The other topics, I feel like at this point they're dated and we don't need to get into them. But I just wanted to point that out because the intention was not to return and have it only be a 30-minute episode. And I did mention that in the video, but just in case, I just wanted to say it because I was like, yo, I'm so pissed. Like, I don't know what happened. I lost half the episode. Anyway, so let's move on. We talked about Erykah Badu last week. And I want to bring up Erykah Badu again this week because DJ Academics, if you don't know, DJ Academics is a media personality, I guess I would call him. He provides commentary on media, entertainment. He has a lot of relationships when it comes to hip hop. He used to co-host Everyday Struggle with Joe Budden years ago. And apparently, back when they used to do Everyday Struggle, Erykah Badu was on their show. This was back in 2017. Apparently, Erykah Badu, and I watched the video, and we know Erykah Badu is problematic, all right? Let's just put that on the table because I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything here. we know Erykah Badu is problematic, and she's funny as fuck, and she does what she wants to do, right? Erykah Badu keeps looking at academics the entire time, and she's like, you look so familiar. I know you. Or I think I've seen you before. All throughout the interview, she keeps saying, man, I can't put my finger on it. Then she goes, does she say Thomas? She either says Tom or Thomas. And she goes, yeah, she says Thomas. She's like, I'm hearing the name Thomas. So this goes on apparently for a while. And then she's like, I'm hearing this song in my head. And she starts like singing or humming this ditty that's in her head. And then at the very end, when they're about to wrap it up, she goes, that's who you remind me of. And she says, you look like Jerry. And he's like, what? And she's like, you look like Jerry from Tom and Jerry. You look like the mouse from Tom and Jerry. And academics didn't look happy, but like he didn't look angry either. It was just like, come on, really? And it's funny because I guess Complex at the time, whoever was editing this episode, made sure to close up on Academic's face and morph him into Jerry the mouse. I'm gonna be honest with you. I see what she saw, and maybe I'm biased because y'all know that's my fave, but I see what she saw. In any event, I think that appears to be the last contact the two of them have had. And in him speaking this week about, I know he streams on Twitch, him speaking about the Tory Lanez and trial, someone messages him and says something about Erykah Badu. I don't recall what they said, but that triggers him and makes him go off. He starts off by like talking about a bunch of celebrities that he has smoke for, and he basically said Erykah Badu could get the smoke too, and he proceeds to say some pretty disgusting things about her, and just talks a whole lot of shit about her. And it appears that this is a reaction. I don't know if he explicitly says it, but this is a reaction to the fact that she fucked with him back in 2017. And it was just kind of weird. It was like, really, like, I guess for the clicks and the likes and the views, I guess that's what you do. But it's also like, if you want some shit from 2017, my nigga, like, why? We do petty over here, but not that petty. Like, light stuff, easy stuff, things you don't really got to think about. After you say it, you move on from it. That's why we do it. We got to get the petty off our chest. But that was a little bit much. But you know what Erykah Badu said? She was like, listen, I'm this little boy. So she does go on, I don't know if it was a video or she just put it in the caption, but she goes on, maybe it was a video, she goes online and she says, apparently people are still upset about things that happened 5 years ago, and even though I thought we were cool because we laughed about it, blah blah blah. And she's like, but and people, something about how people have a lot of things to say about her pussy, and something like, oh, well, it's not easy to get, or something along those lines. I don't have it. I have it on my phone, and I can't look at my phone right now. I'm sorry. But if you Google it, you will find exactly what she said. But basically, she uses that as a rollout for her incense, for her Badu pussy incense. And she's like, well, This is here for this is a limited edition product, and you know, since they're talking about my pussy, I might as well do this. I said, okay, well, listen, get your money then, all right? I love a woman who knows how to make her coin and clap back at the same time. Nothing wrong with that. I don't really have too many opinions on it. I just kind of feel like if it was 5 years ago, my guy, like, what are you doing? If it was 5 minutes ago, if it had just happened, I could see, okay, like, you feel a way, this just happened, and I get it. But I just don't understand. Like, I think that the thing with DJ Academics is that he doesn't feel like he's respected. And I understand that there are plenty of people who don't respect him, myself included. But I think the problem with that is that he's made it. Like, as far as I'm concerned, as far as, you know, digital creators are concerned, as far as people who do the types of things that he does are concerned, like, he's always talking about his mansion that he lives in and all the money, the millions he makes and this and that. And it's like, all right, somebody who was fucking with you 5 years ago, this, like, you need some get back, you looking for some revenge, like, I guess. And you want to talk nasty about her like that? Okay, but really? Like, he needs anger management, if you ask me, but the anger management classes, but that's, you know, none of my business. So if he want to walk around like that, that's fine. That's fine. He could do it. He could do what he wants to do. Moving right along. Something that I did talk about last week, but I guess I have to bring it up again. And the only reason I'm bringing it up again, well, I'll get to it. So Tina Lawson and Richard Lawson are breaking up. Normally breakups don't really move me like that. I only speak on them here if there's something else attached to the story that's interesting. And this one is kind of interesting. If you don't know who Tina Lawson is Beyonce's mama. And she's been married to Richard Lawson for a while. I want to say maybe 7 years or something like that, 7-8 years. Apparently they quietly split up and filed for divorce. She filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. So that's not really what interests me here. What interests me is what happened after people found out that they were getting a divorce. People started looking into Richard Lawson. If you don't know who Richard Lawson is, by the way, he's an actor. He's also father of Bianca Lawson, who is a great actress herself. But he's been in a lot of things. So I can't name one right now. I think that he was on Sister Sister at some point, which was a long time ago. He's done a bunch of things, and he's done things since then. So just Google him and you'll see his face and you'll be like, oh, that black man. Yeah, that black man. So again, I don't care about the breakup. If that's what they chose to do, if that's what they need to have peace in their lives, then that is fine. But everybody got on the internet, or the internet got on the internet, I should say, because you know who we're speaking about when we specifically say the internet, right? The internet did what it does. It started looking at his tweets and looking at all kinds of things related to him, and they learned that he's into porn. He's liking all kinds of things. He's liking all kinds of pornographic images and videos. And people were like, yo, Uncle Richard likes what he likes. And he likes to see some porn. And what got me about this is, are we really having a conversation about a man who likes porn? Did anybody say he has a porn addiction? Is there like some sort of thing, like, you realize that people, one, when you get older, it doesn't mean that you are no longer sexual. That's one thing that I think people need to get out of their heads. Two, if the man likes porn and his wife was okay with whatever was going on, him liking the photos and videos and things while they were married, then I don't really see a problem with it. Like, I don't think it's but maybe it was an issue. We don't know. No one has said that porn was an issue in their marriage. If that is the conversation, then we can have a conversation about why maybe he should have stayed off of the internet and not been liking all the pornographic videos and images. But I don't know. Y'all just went off on Twitter about this man and his porn. And I just want to, I want to say here, like, let's not shame people for liking porn of all things. Porn is of all the things that you could be into, porn is pretty common. Now, I know there are people who do too much porn and get themselves into trouble because they like a little too much porn. I hear you and I understand that. All I'm saying is it's okay to dabble. Hell, I dabble. You gotta dabble sometimes. Some people do a little bit more than dabble. Some people dibble and dabble. I just dabble, you know, and that's fine. I'm not mad at that man for liking porn. I don't know if he did something to Miss Tina. If he did, we can have a conversation about it. Y'all know I would curse him the fuck out. But the porn is not, we gotta stop. We gotta stop. It's nobody's business whether he likes porn or not. That's the reality of this situation right here. It's nobody's business. So we're gonna leave that right there. I just thought it was funny that people were so invested in that part of the story. What I was more invested in was how quietly they did it, and the fact that there is a clip of Beyonce at one of her concerts that week, where I believe her mother was at the show, and she shouts out her mom on stage, but she shouts her out during a song where it's almost like a, you know, fuck that dude, fuck that nigga song. So we don't know what happened. Maybe we'll find out someday, maybe we never will, because, you know, when it comes to that family, we probably not gonna find out. But if the man likes porn, the man likes porn, and I just feel like we should just leave that right there. That's not, if y'all heard something different and it's something way more egregious than that, let me know, and I'm happy to talk about it, but I don't really think we need to. Should we talk about Montgomery, though? Montgomery, Alabama? Let's talk about it. A couple people asked me if I was gonna discuss this. I don't really know what to say. Like, this is not the thing that I would normally cover, but I guess we talk about everything, any and everything relating to Black people, right? So if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, if you traveled to a far, far away land and have just returned, let me let you know what happened. Well, first, let me set the scene for you, because the way I found out about this was really funny. So my brother sends a message to a chat thread that we are on, a text message thread that we are on, a group chat. That's what it's called. Why couldn't I? He sends it, but he adds me specifically, and he says, oh my gosh, I can't even remember what he says, but he sends a video, and he's like, Dion, something like, this is crazy. And I'm like, okay. I look at it, the video, and there are just people fighting. There is a whole brawl going on, and I am confused. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? So of course I message back, hey, what am I watching? And he's like, he gives me a little bit more context. It turns out a Black man, the boat captain, at the riverfront in Montgomery, Alabama, was trying to do his job. Some white people came and like was blocking the way with their boat or whatever, and he let them know that they needed to move their boat, all of that jazz. And they just, this one man just starts pummeling him. And I don't know exactly. Apparently this is the way they give it up in Montgomery, but when I tell you the amount of people who came to his aid and came to his rescue and were like, no, we gonna fuck them up. Let's fuck them up. And that is exactly what they did. I mean, if Nuck If You Buck was a situation, this is Nuck If You Buck. Okay? What was her name? Sasha? Oh, now we knucking and bucking and ready to fight. Yeah, this was that. This was that. This was that. I was very confused. I had to watch this multiple times. I had to be sent multiple videos to really wrap my head around what was going on. But once I realized, I was like, listen, y'all need to, and now I'm not talking about y'all, but I'm talking about y'all, white people, y'all need to realize black people are sick of your shit. Black people are sick of your shit. As a result, when you get to some bullshit, expect to be met with different energy. Now, I'm not saying violence is ever the answer. What I'm saying is when you fuck with people, you fuck around and you find out. And that is what happened here. Thankfully, you know, once the police saw the footage and all that, you know, I think the men who you see initially in the video were charged. They did ask for the one man, everybody's calling him Unc with the folding chair. They did ask for him to turn himself in. I was a little worried. They said he wasn't going to get into trouble, but they wanted the precinct wanted him to come by. He finally did today, and he got charged with I think disorderly conduct. So I think he has to pay a fine or something like that, but it's nothing major. He won't be doing any jail time or anything like that, but they did have to formally arrest him. Which he hit a lady over the head with with a folding chair. So I can't. I don't want to see bruh in a bad way, but he hit somebody with a folding chair, and I just, you know, some things have consequences. So, listen. I said what I said. If you fuck around, you gonna find out. Or if you fuck with the wrong one, all of the black sayings, if you fuck with the wrong one, the wrong ones be revealing themselves. The wrong ones end up being the right ones, because I hope that they've learned their lesson. I hope that they realize that this fuck shit that they got into, the white people, not the black people, this fuck shit that they got into, was it worth it? Was it just to be hateful and obnoxious and violent? Ugh, I hate it. I hate it so much. But I'm glad that, I think that the outcome of this, while you don't ever want to encourage violence, I just feel like y'all had to know that at some point, people would be like, I can't take this anymore. If you keep antagonizing someone, if you continue to poke the bear, eventually, you gonna see. So let's get into what I'm watching real quick and then wrap this up. Real Housewives of New York. I haven't really gotten into the Housewives in a very long time. It's going on like 2 years that I have just kind of been like, I don't really care about this. I don't really want to watch this. I feel like Real Housewives of Atlanta is tired now. I don't care about Drew Sidora and her husband. I don't care about Marlo trying to be a momty or whatever she calls herself. I don't care about Sonia Richards-Ross being on the show. Like, I just don't. I'm not interested in it anymore. And honestly, a lot of Bravo shows I've kind of just fallen off of watching. I don't really watch them anymore. I don't really care for them. Especially the Housewives shows. I just feel like they're old and they're tired, and it's the same shit over and over again, and I don't really care for that. But I said I'm gonna give Real Housewives of New York a chance because they did a complete reboot. I don't know if reboot is the right word. They did a complete overhaul of the cast. No one who was previously on this show, is on this show. It's an entirely new cast. Two people that I've been following for years on social are on it. Sai, who goes by Scout the City online, and she's a digital creator. She does like fashion stuff, fashion influencer stuff. And then Jenna Lyons, who was the creative director of J. Crew for many years. I've been following her and her career for a very long time. I've always been really interested in her fashion, and she's just kind of a badass. So the two of them are on it, and then there's a bunch of other people that I didn't know before. So I said, let me check it out. And honestly, I've watched a couple episodes and I've been like, okay, this is new. This is fresh. I like this. I could get into this. And I think a lot of that is because it's just different. There's just different people, and there's different, there's something a little bit more youthful and fresher about this cast. There was nothing wrong with the original Housewives. In fact, I've always said that I don't think that the cast should get younger than it is, because I don't know if we get that raw and authentic feel that we've gotten with the Housewives who are a bit older. But it's working. I think it's working. I think it's going to be good, at least for a little while. So I might continue to watch that. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I'm curious about it. I also started watching The Bear, and everyone has said that this is such a phenomenal show. What is his name? Patrick Allen White. Is that his name? Am I saying that right? The main character on The Bear, who used to be on Shameless, he won an Emmy, I think, last year for The Bear, for Best Actor. It's chaotic, and I like chaos, or at least I thought I did. And then I started watching it, and I was like, it's not a bad show. I see why people like it. There's a lot of different things going on. There's a story that's happening. There's a plot line that's happening underneath the things that you can see, the things that meet the eye, that has yet to be explored. Like they're slowly rolling out what the backstory is and how we got to where we are now. So I do like that. It is a lot, and I don't know, like I've been having issues sticking with it, so I can't decide yet if I like it or not. I don't know. I'll keep you posted though. I'll let you know if I, make it through season 1. I'm still powering through. And what else? I've also been watching randomly. I've been watching Before the 90 Days. I turned it on one day just as for background noise, I guess. And have been hooked on this season ever since. I've been watching it really slowly, so I'm not even caught up on the last couple of episodes, but let's just say they have, there's a lot of diversity on this season. There's a lot of different things going on, a lot of different types of situations happening, and I'm here for it. I am invested. I need to know how this goes and how this ends. And honestly, if they move on to the actual 90 Day Fiancé, I'm gonna have to watch that season too. Because how could I not? How could I not? So, listen, that's what I'm watching right now. I don't know if I'm gonna have a lot more of what I'm watching to share as the writers' strike and the actors' strike continues. I don't know what it's gonna be like, but I'm throwing that out there just in case you need things to watch. I'm also kind of thinking maybe I should create a list of things that you should go back to, things that are not current, but maybe you missed and maybe you didn't see. Let me know if you're interested in that. Put that in the comments and I will definitely make a list. And that's really it. That's all I have for this week. One more thing, tweet of the week. Let me get it, because it's a long one, but it does have to do with Tory Lanez, and it's kind of sums up what I said, or what I was trying to say before. This was tweeted by Brandon Caldwell, and it says, had a plea waiting for him would have kept him free and clear, and yet he took it to trial, antagonized Meg throughout via tweets, performances, a whole album, utilized blogs and personalities to try and run a game of character assassination for this end result. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's a tough pill for him and his team to swallow at this point. But at this point, it is what it is. And our actions have consequences. So there you go. And on that note, I will see y'all next week. Bye-bye.